pertinent industry-specific training. So if you're in multifamily, then hopefully you are connected here with Grace Hill. And if you know a little bit about Grace Hill, you know that we love our vision and our vision premium products. And we are very excited as this platform has the ability to track your associates' training assignments, includes email alerts for missed courses, and allows the company to add your own training right alongside our Grace Hill courses. So we hope that you visit us at our website, because this is a really exciting time to learn more about us. We recently, as Jana mentioned, hosted our Vision Unconference, and we unveiled some exciting new things to come revision. So it's a great time to learn more, and that link will take you right there so that you can see a little bit more about us and Vision. And then a little housekeeping to talk about. We have a wonderful housekeeping slide here, and you'll see that we have a nice picture there of somebody thinking really, really hard, and the reason that we did that is just what Jana mentioned before, and I'm going to go over a couple of things here on this slide. First, as we mentioned, those of you that joined us earlier heard us talking about how important that audio pin is. So if you've called in on telephone and you haven't done that yet, there is a More button on top of your screen, and that will give you some audio settings. Enter that audio pin in just a couple more screens. Again, I'm going to tell you exactly why that is so important. If you need to maximize the slide views, if these are a little bit harder to see, if you hover on the top right of the screen, of the actual slide screen, you're going to see a maximize button appear. That will allow you to make that larger, and it will also allow you to make it smaller if it's too big once you maximize it. So as Jana mentioned, we have chats and we have polls to keep it interactive. We're hoping that you really converse with us a little bit more than you typically do in the Let's Talk training. We're going to encourage that, and you'll see in our slides that Jana put together fabulous ways to interact with each other. That chat poll is over there on the left, and you can type in there, and I'll tell you a little bit more about how that works in just a second. We also have something new that we're very excited about. As we progress on the screens, we have items linked to resources, and any time that we've done that, you're going to see an R in a circle, very pretty there, and that will let you know that you can click right from this presentation. As we are coming up with things to tell you, it's going to be right there on the slide. And, of course, we are recording this episode, as we love to put things in recorded versions so that you have them to go back to as reference tools. So with that housekeeping, we're going to continue on. And I told you I was going to tell you a little bit more about that chat screen, and this is why. Our producer, Ms. Terry McHale, is watching that chat screen, and she is our marketing events manager, and she will answer your questions. Keep the chat going. Make sure you have everything you need. Very much appreciated, Terry. We love you. Thank you very much. And she will be there to assist you. Mwah!
Thank you, Terry.
Yes. All right. So I told you about those pins and why it's so important to enter that information, and this is why not very many free conferences give away things just for listening, but that's what we do here at Let's Talk Training. So if you stick around and you're here at the end, you have the chance to win that Amazon gift card for $50. So we hope you stick around and do that for us. You do need to be present at the end of the presentation to win, and having your name synced up with your phone number makes it much easier to do that. So that is why we spend so much time on that information. All right, so let's proceed, Jana. And let everybody take in this nice cartoon that Jana found. When I was your age, the whole family had to gather around just one screen. Anybody that knows me, I have about 6 screens going at the same time, and I can't even remember when I just had one screen. So that's a little bit about where we've been and where we're heading. So before we get started with the actual presentation, we thought that would be a nice disclaimer to start our poll time. And Terry, our producer extraordinaire, is going to put that first poll up for us so that we can take a look and see what we need to vote on. And here it is. So grab your mic. Over the past 5 years, the amount of instructor-led or classroom training we conduct has been reduced by 50% or more, been reduced by 25 to 50%, been reduced by 25% or less, almost been eliminated, or none of the above. It has actually increased. The votes are coming in hot and heavy. Interesting numbers, too.
Interesting numbers, yes.
The 36%, it keeps dropping. No, they're changing their minds. But over 30% said it has been reduced by 25 to 50%.
That is definitely our highest category. That's right. Almost been eliminated is 20%, which is crazy.
Yeah. And 25% said none of the above. It's actually increased. Very interesting. Okay. So now that we have the numbers, Jana, let's tie some facts to the figures and see what we have for to talk about that classroom training.
Absolutely, and this is just an interesting statistic, and we wanted to hear your feedback, which we just got, and you can see it's a little bit split across the board, but those of you who have been training for a while have probably heard the age-old saying of the mind can only absorb what the tush, I'm sure you can replace that with many other words, can endure. So back in the day, those long training classes that were in person, instructor-led, you would have your associates, and you probably were one of those associates who sat there all day long, possibly a full day, 2 days, 3 days. I know we used to even have a 5-day orientation onboarding training program. So, how much of that is really scrap learning? How much is really getting absorbed? So it's an interesting change today, which I truly believe is for the better, to make the most out of our associates' time, make the most out of your time, and get to the meat of what they need to learn and also allow you to have more time. So classroom training, is it a thing of the past? It'll never be a thing of the past. It is always going to be in existence. That's my personal opinion. So I think it will be reduced, as you have seen by your own poll results, that it is absolutely getting reduced and probably shortened. A lot of this has to do with many factors, including geography and the quick time that we all need to get the training done and get out of there. So let's move on to our top 5 training trends for 2016. Okay, so we need to get gamified. No surprise there. Personalized. Every individual wants that training personalized, and we're going to talk about each one of these in more depth. Socialized. No surprise there. Social media is what is happening right now. Micro-sized. We want shorter training, quicker and shorter, and we need to get mobilized. So I'm sure some of these are something that you have all been focusing on, and we're going to jump right into this and start with getting gamified. And Pam is going to lead us into number 1.
All right. So, yes, gamification and being gamified. So I'm sure that many of you are familiar with that term, but we thought it would be interesting to share some facts about why this type of training is so vital and important to the future of training itself. This is actually one of those resource screens that we told you about, so you'll see they are there, and that will allow you to click on some valuable information that Jana put together for us so that you can see a little bit more about gamification and the trends of it. So we know that also that this is firsthand, as we actually had a beta test at our Vision Unconference, and wow, the results of that were fantastic. And just to review a little bit on the screen here so that we can see a little bit of what Jana put together. I know you can read, but I love to just look at some of this information of the gamification industry, how much it's expected to grow just by 2015, and then look at the number of 5.5 billion by 2018. Phenomenal growth in such a small facet of what we probably didn't have even 5 to 6 years ago. More than 60% of learners said that leaderboards and friendly competition would motivate them. So as I mentioned with that beta test, wow, that leaderboard, to be on the top of the leaderboard, and I have to tell you, being in property management, and I know Janet and I can relate to this, we know that property management is a competitive beast. I use that term quite a bit, but it's so true because we all are in this industry. We all always want to be number one, and gamification and having our name up in lights because we've done it best and we've done it well is definitely a motivator that we should consider. And then at that bottom, 80% of learners said they would be more productive if their learning or job was more game-like. And I don't think you can argue with that because we all like to have fun at work. So using the types of gamifications that we can access today to make things more fun for our students and our learners has got to be a top priority. So what else do we have on gamification? We are going to take a look here. So let's talk about the future employees that we are going to be having join us throughout just the next few years. This is information that Jana has put together in these fun buttons just to show you what they're learning now. Look at the statistics of what everybody is learning in school now. And if they're learning this information now, guess where they're coming next? They're coming for us. They're going to be employed. And look at what they are doing now in school. And I think the most interesting one is that bottom button where it says 97% of kids play computer and video games, and 97% of teachers polled said that gamified reading of a tool called Who's Reading. I think I said that right, Jana. Been practicing. Motivated students to read. So that's who is coming. They are learning on games, and they are coming to us, and we need to make sure that we have tools and resources for them that they are used to having before they become employees of ours. So interesting things to keep in mind. We hope you enjoy those resources. And then now what we're going to do is we're actually going to go to the chat area of our screen and a little new feature that we have for Let's Talk Training. And we want to know from you, do you plan on incorporating gamification? So let us know in that chat. And if you have any information on how you're going to do that, I'm sure we would all love to hear your ideas. So go ahead and let us know, for one, the easy yes-no question. Do you plan on incorporating gamification? And then if you do not know, say I don't know, say yes, say no. We got a lot of yeses. And any ideas of how you're going to do it, anything you're going to use, are these things that you're going to be made in-house? Are you planning on incorporating other agencies? Whatever you have, because I know that we all would love to learn from each other on this. And as we're typing, I just wanted to let you know that Jan is actually going to take the chat information that we get today and is going to incorporate it and send that out after our webinar is over as a wrap-up so that you will have these resources available. So that is another reason why it's important for us to all network together and give ideas if we can.
That's right. Thank you, Pam. Yes, this is one of the first times that we really encourage your feedback and chats, because we are going to share all of your ideas. As we told you earlier, and Pam told you earlier, the best way of learning is from each other. So we are going to share the chat. Terry, thank you for clearing the chat ahead of time. So you won't get all of the chat that we had on the technical issues or sounds at the beginning. So from here on out, it will just be related to each of the questions. We will save that and send it out along with the recording and the follow-up email that goes along with this Let's Talk training. So It looks like a lot of ideas are coming in.
We definitely have a lot of yeses. I'd love to hear anybody that has any plans on how to put it together, or what you're thinking, or anything that you really want to share, because we are definitely interested in that. I know everybody on here is definitely interested in how they can utilize games for their learning knowledge. I just think it's very interesting that we got so many yeses so quick, because obviously it's on the forefront of everyone's mind, and one of the reasons that it's the top 5.
That's right. Is anybody plan on incorporating any gaming apps for your training programs? Are you creating any type of apps or thinking about one? Real life simulations, that's great. Role plays, yes. Okay, keep typing into chat. For sake of time, we're going to move on to number 2, and this might be one of the most important and most common trends of 2016 that we saw, and at the end, we will tell you and help you understand how all of the other 4 feed into this particular trend, so to speak. And this is nothing new. Those of you who have been in the training industry for a while, we have struggled with trying to do this. We have tried to personalize and individualize, but we haven't had the technology or the tools available to us to help make that even successful. Now we have got those tools and technology to be able to individualize those all of these are interchangeable, as you well know, career development plans, learning paths, development plans. You can call this or name it anything that you want, customize it to something specific for your company, but it really boils down to the same thing. It is an individual growth and development plan for a specific employee. It doesn't have to be across the board now. In the past, it used to be all leasing professionals went through this one development plan. Well, what if a leasing professional had higher skills and better experience than another one who was brand new to the industry? That didn't really make sense to us or to all of you, I'm sure, to put them through the exact same type of training. So individualizing and personalizing these development plans has become key. And if you look back and what I just mentioned, the traditional way of learning was that one size fits all. Everybody sits into that classroom. Go back to the cartoon at the beginning. The mind can only absorb what the tushy can endure. So it's the same concept here. Traditional training was really about counting heads, how many people attended, how many people were in your class. You would send that over to the higher ups and they would go, wow, they had 500 people attend this training. It's all good. The new way that we all need to focus on is really making sure that training is individualized, it's personalized, and that we are giving the skills needed, or training, should I say, the skills needed for these individual associates. So it's more about addressing their current need of skills than it is about making sure everybody attends a training course. So this was a cool slide that I wanted to include. And again, the past 3 I didn't mention were all, you see the R in the bottom corner. That means that there's a resource. And we have sourced some of this information from people that we feel are very respected in the training industry. So this slide I loved because it kind of tells you the how, what, when, where, and why of personalizing training. I know that you can all read, which is our first one under the how, but you can all read all of these different columns here, and I think that they speak volumes to why we need to personalize. And we're going to get into a lot of things that contribute to personalization in a minute here. But why, besides what I have already told you right now, why do you think personalizing training is important? What value do you see in this? And if you have any ideas that you plan, engagement is right, Sarah, absolutely. If you have any ideas in 2016 to incorporate personalization, please type it into chat. It fits the what's in it for me. Oh, that's a great one. The WIFM, as you hear it called. What's in it for me? Yes, and we all have felt those moments of sitting in a classroom and thinking, I know this part of it, but yet we were sitting next to a learner or an associate coworker that was really getting a lot out of it. So we certainly didn't want to take away from that coworker sitting next to us who needed to know that, or vice versa. We needed to know it, and we're sitting next to somebody who has already been experienced at it. So in personalization, we're reducing the time away from properties, which all contributes to the bottom line. We want more productivity, and that is just part of what this does. So keep typing into chat, setting more specific personal goals. That's right, Lisa. And a piece I didn't mention, thank you, Lisa, for reminding me, is it does allow us better follow-up with each of the individual associates, which sometimes is where we can drop the ball. It's really hard to follow up with everybody when you teach a, one size fits all class and you ask them, but when you personalize it, it's a little bit easier to involve the manager, their supervisor, in the follow-up process, which is critical to the success of the training initiative that you have all worked so hard on. Okay, we're going to move on. Keep typing into chat, but Pam's going to get us social, which is what we're doing now, right, Pam?
That's exactly right. So social media, as we know, is not just for sharing the latest holiday party photos, our statuses, which sometimes are real important. We know that the importance of social media and those fun platforms are one of the drives that gets us on that computer every day and lets us play with some of these fantastic software links. But it also obviously can be used as an effective personal learning tool or a learning tool for your associates. So it's already being used to connect with people across international teams or organizations in the same industry, joining them together by region and district. We know that, but the nice thing is all of these are real time. So you can see that we have a lot of different icons on there, or as I like to call them, icons, so that we can really share this information and the power of it, but I'm going to speak a little bit more to it as we go through. Jana found this really very cool picture here, a graphic about social networks, the openness of it, the diversity of ideas, the transparency, all of that going into reinforcing, fostering learning, enabling, and having the knowledge sharing that we have now. These are all really important because as trainers, I think we have come to realize that we don't have to create as much content as we used to because we have so many more resources that are available to us, especially in social media. So not only learning and grabbing that information through social media, but disseminating it to the people that need it most, and that is everyone that we work with. And doing so in real time is what gives us that avenue of social media being so prominent with our learning in today's training industry. So we're going to talk a little bit more as well about some of the ideas that we've used. One of the things that we have done is we have our Facebook group. We have our Let's Talk Training, and that will link to our Let's Talk Training group. That's one of the ways that us as trainers can relate to each other, and if you haven't joined our group yet, we hope that you do so. But we talk about real-time facts and ideas all the time. You all share probably more information than we do, and we would love for you to continue to do that. Jana is always putting on white papers and resources. Joanna does a lot of things too. She works with us at Great Hills. We're very happy to have her provide content, and then you all have provided some excellent content on this group too. But this is a way that we can collaborate in real time, and that is just with us and trainers. Imagine what you can do with the same tool in your own organization and use it as a training mechanism for your group so that you can have collaborations in real time. So where the traditional use of socialization in Facebook has come to play, that training use and creating groups is something that you can take a look at as far as learning and using social media for a training tool. And the other thing that I wanted to let you know, if you need more information on some of these training tools, we do have a past episode on Tool School for Let's Talk Training that you can go back and watch, because we kind of delved in this really a lot to give you information and some learning tools there so that you can start using social media more to your advantage as well.
Pam,
right,
I'm going to jump in real quick. Pam is
Yeah.
our social media guru, and she is wonderful about the ways to incorporate this. I think it was actually her idea to create the Let's Talk Training Facebook group, so we appreciate all of that. And a few ideas that really just came to mind while she was speaking is you can do a Facebook group for a leasing class for your new leasing people. You can do it for all new associates. You could do a Facebook group for those that are trying to get into a leadership position. You can do this and branch it out in so many different ways. So I just wanted to voice a few different ideas that came to mind. How cool would it be if all of your new leasing associates that just joined within 90 days, yes, you would have to manage it, so they would have to be removed, or maybe they don't want to be removed after that point. They become mentors and coaches. But what a great way to utilize Facebook groups and encourage that social sharing. So sorry, Pam, I just wanted to thank you, first of all, for all of your information.
No, that's fine. And I think Angela typed in, how do you use social media at work for training without crossing the boundaries of the work-life balance? That's a very good question, and I think really you have to be focused on the actual use of your social media and what you want out of it. Obviously, we'd love for you to respond 24/7 to our Let's Talk Training Facebook group, but that's not going to happen in most instances. So it's open 24/7, but encouraging and trying to motivate everyone's place on the page is something that we do during the normal working hours. So trying to get that balance is probably pretty tough, but just utilize it in most cases like you would an actual training tool for, let's say, a live training session, knowing about how much time that needs to take, and knowing that people do have other things going on, and keeping that in mind when you're making up those social media programs. So that was an excellent question, and hope I helped a little bit on some of my answer. This next screen I want to show you shows that these are just a few quick screens just to let you know that Facebook personal interaction and LinkedIn and some of the other types of social media, just the power of communication that these all have, because we are on these all the time. We are on them all day. We are on them maybe when we don't admit that we are on these platforms, but that is why they are such a great source of power and communication. And you can see the relationships, the values, the customers, the success, the loyalty, all comes from communication. And that's not just social media. We actually have to communicate to get any training initiative done. This just makes it real time, very quick, and accessible for your associates. The power of social media, as Jana was bragging on me just a little bit, I love social media because I do love meeting people, networking with people, sharing ideas. The things that I read that you've shared with us just blow me away. We have some of the smartest people I have ever met in the property management industry, and sharing our knowledge with our staff in this form makes it so easy to get our message across. And I know one of the things that came out of the unconference last week was thinking about branding your training, and what better way to brand your training than to use social media to do that. So some of you have logos for your training programs, you have universities, you have all of that going on, and social media makes it that much more relevant and that much more accessible. And just think of the power of social media. We're here today with the power of technology using social media. How much did it cost you to join us today? Probably didn't cost you very much, because this is how easy the technology has been received. If you remember just a few short years ago, bear with me those that are younger than us, but just a few short years ago, we thought it was the coolest thing that we could get online to this big internet using a dial-up modem with all of those fancy sounds that it used to make. I can still hear it in my head. And the fascination we had when we were on AOL and we heard that we had mail. I mean, that was the most fun thing until we realized we got a lot of it. But
yeah, what was that? What was that movie, Pam? You've Got Mail.
Yeah, you've got mail.
Yeah.
So just look how far technology has come from then. That created that instant technology of connecting with people. It has gone full blown to all of these social platforms, and the technology is just going to continue to grow, make it easier for us to pass on that technology to everyone. So social media is where it's at. We all know it's important. And I think on that note, we're going to talk about what social learning do you have planned for 2016. We want to know if you plan on using Facebook or LinkedIn or some other social media platform. Are you branding your training? Are you considering social learning? Have you never used it? That would be interesting to know too.
Pam, I've seen a lot of comments on people incorporating Yammer and Slack. I'm familiar with Yammer, but not Slack. Do you know anything about either one of them?
I know a little bit about Yammer. Slack I'm not hip on, so
yeah.
Let us know a little bit more about the Slack. I'll have to check it out. You know, that's the age when you get to, I'm keeping up with as much as I can, but that one has heard of it, haven't used it, haven't played with it. I bet it's fun. Look, Doug gave us a link so everybody can go on there and learn a little bit more about Slack.
I'm just not liking the term of it, Doug, just to be honest. I don't want my associates to Slack. Yammer School, I'm good with that one. I'm kidding, Doug, by the way. I'm sure it's absolutely cool if you're implementing it. But yeah.
We can create our new social media platform, Slackers.
Right. Yeah, that would be just
Twitter
funny.
Is big.
Yeah, you could
Twitter
do some marketing
big.
fun on that one, right?
Yeah. Twitter is a big one. James pointed out Twitter is, wow, you can use that so much.
Yes.
If you've gone to any conference and you've seen hashtag like NAA EdOps, I mean, there's so many. It's just, wow, you all keep in touch and write it real time. So if Jana's gone to seminar A and I went to seminar B, within 2 seconds of each other, we know who's enjoying the seminar and who's teaching it, and sharing our PowerPoints together. It's just a bunch of fun. So Twitter is definitely fun.
Yes.
And Facebook page is looking awesome. You have to keep your Facebook page looking awesome. I agree.
Allie, you said Pinterest is a huge hit here. Can I ask you how you use Pinterest for your company?
Well, I'm guessing that she can pull a lot of information and put it on her own page. I know one of the pages that I really enjoy is actually the NAA page. NAA actually has an awesome Pinterest page.
Okay.
Anything from cooking. Well, and those sites also let you pick out things so that you can share with your residents. So what a great way to share information with your residents, cooking recipes, bus routes, all kinds of things, best restaurants, a great customer service platform in addition to training. How to arrange your apartment. I always need help with arranging anything. So, yes.
Okay, we're going to go ahead and move on. Keep typing into chat, but I do want to wrap this up with social media policies and procedures have become something that we have had to do, and is, goodness, I think I did this 6 years ago for the company I was with prior to joining Grace Hill. So it is now becoming more important, those policies and procedures that you have to get into play. It is a very sticky situation. What you do allow, what you don't allow, the guidelines behind it all, and a lot of human resources departments, as well as I'm sure your involvement in that is crucial as well, because you have to train those social media policies. So I do want to say that at ending this, please refer to your company's specific social media policies and procedures. And we are always here and happy to help with that. Okay, don't put up the poll yet, Terry. We're going to jump into the next subject, but I'm going to let you get a little giggle there. It kind of ties into everything we've been talking about. Okay, I'm walking now. I need my mobile device, and that is the way of the future, right? We know that. I had debated between two images right here on these cartoons. The other one showed, when somebody's pregnant, it shows you the, what is it called, Pam? Ultrasound image.
Yes.
And the ultrasound image in black and white, and the little baby had a cell phone in its hand. And I thought, maybe not most appropriate, but that is absolutely true. They are born with cell phones in their hands. So, we refer to the term millennials a lot. And what does that really mean? There's a lot of controversy on the dates that define millennials, but what we have found that is the most common is anybody born between 1982 and 2004. Originally, they had this defined as 2012 and reduced it to 2004. So that makes people 11 to 33 years old today for the millennials. I'm sure you can find all different types of information on, contradicting those dates, but that seems to be the average. And, what's next? So if they cut it off at 2004, who is next? This new generation is still being defined, and it is, called iGen, post-millennials. There are a lot of different names for it, but it's anybody who has been born after 2004 now, and no end date to be determined. I think they're trying to keep up with, how do we define and what are the cutoff dates of these generations? With that being said, let's go with the majority of research that we found that is millennials age 11 to 33. And Terry, you want to put up that poll real quick? I'd be curious to know what everybody thinks on their current workforce right now. Terry, there she goes. Thank you, Terry. Okay, so what percentage of your current employees do you really believe, and I know you don't have these statistics at your fingertips, but just you train them, your employees. So what do you think the percentages of millennials in your company? And just use your best guesstimate as it says. I put age 18 to 33 because hopefully you don't have 11 to 17-year-olds working in your company. So you're probably going, Jana, you just said it was 11. Yes, I did. But if you have 11-year-olds employed, that's a whole different Let's Talk training session.
Yep. Yep, 45% on 21 to 40%.
Wow, yes, 43%. Okay. Okay, so the majority, obviously, is 50% and followed by the next highest number. So let's look at this next slide together. And why microlearning? We're talking about microlearning right now, not millennials, but they go hand in hand. So microlearning, you've heard the term, it's a hot term, it's been around for a while, but it's just basically a method for delivering content to learners in small, specific bursts. I'm sure you have all heard of it and possibly been working on it in your company. So I want to ask a question real quick into chat. I have two numbers down there, 75% and 90 seconds. Does anybody know what those numbers represent? Type into chat. Let's go with 75% first. What does 75% represent? Anyone? Anyone?
Well, Amy guessed the second one.
Okay, Amy. Okay, we're going to go ahead and reveal it. 75% of our workforce in the year 2025 will be millennials. And, you know, that statistic, this is an active link, as you see the R at the bottom. That statistic could vary based on, as I told you earlier, who did the research and what they defined the millennial years as. But I truly believe it might be even a larger number than that by 2025. 90 seconds is the average attention span of a millennial. So that's why it's so important for us to make sure that bite-sized training exists. And you heard me mention earlier, scrap training. That is so much of what we did when we sat people in classrooms and we told them just way too much. And they left with, on average, I think it's 30% of what you trained them. Actually, it's 20% of what you trained them. 80% went out the door. So going over to microlearning is getting down to that 20% of what's pertinent, what's relevant, what they really need to know, especially now with the millennials having that attention span of 90 seconds. And I'm sure some of you are like, I've been on this webinar for almost an hour. I want to, get off and squirrel. So we get it. We understand. But this is why bite size is the right size. And I'm going to throw a thank you out to Doug Chasik. If those of you who know the apartment doctor, he is probably not on here, but I love his terminology on this and why I use this image. He calls it learning tapas. Any of you have been to a tapas restaurant, you get those bite-sized pieces, which the image represents. And he says the way of the future is in learning tapas. So thank you, Doug. And I stole it. You told me I could, though. Okay, so micro-learning. Let's look at the myths and the facts. There are some very strong myths on this. It's not just about chunking. It is allowing the personalization. So we all think if we chunk out our current training programs, then we're good. We are making sure micro learning works and it's effective because we just broke down one course into 10 pieces. The real answer there, although that kind of crosses myth and fact, yes, that is how micro learning works. But the fact on that is the reason we're doing that is to go back to the personalization. You want to be able to pull those bits and pieces out to be able to use them for specific skills and those personalized development plans that we were talking about earlier. And the another one is no instructional design is needed. Once we make these little short chunks, no instructional design is needed, and that is absolutely incorrect. Instructional design will always be needed because now you have to pull these little chunks out and incorporate them into a personalized learning plan. The instructional design piece of it will be less, but it will be still a need for all of the companies. And I know one of Pam's favorite sites, and mine too, is Grovo. Please, just if you haven't been there, I actually meant to put a link in here. And Terry, if you want to type it into chat, I'm sure that they can remember it, but just it's easy as grovo.com. And they have the perfect amount of training, bite-sized chunks. Pam and I both love this site. Pam, thank you for introducing me to that one. Okay, and the last myth I have is making it short is the goal. Making it short is not the goal. Making those short things matter is the goal. I can make it short all day long. I can give you that same scrap learning we were talking about earlier and make that short, and it doesn't matter to you. So making it short is not really the goal. Making it short and making sure it matters is truly the goal here. Okay, so we're going to go on to our last chat, I think. So does anybody plan on microsizing, and how do you plan on doing it? Are you using some websites like Grovo, or are you currently working on it with an instructional designer to shorten your courses and classes? And we saw earlier that a lot of you are reducing the amount of instructor-led training, and that kind of ties with microsizing because it's really hard to pull somebody in, especially when you're spread out over a city or even remote locations for an hour class. So that's where the reduction in instructor-led training really comes into play. So we will look for those, but for sake of time, please keep typing into chat. Again, this will be shared. So, Terry, let's put up our last poll, if you don't mind. And I love this cartoon. Take out your phones, open the history app, and turn to the page about George Washington. That is absolutely correct. Okay, so this summarizes everything we've talked about today. What is your biggest learning and development focus for 2016? Gamification, personalizing training, improving social learning, implementing microlearning, and mobile learning, which actually is our last topic that Pam's going to wrap up with, but we wanted to see what your thoughts were on this first.
Microlearning and personalizing coming in number 1 and 2.
Yes, personalizing and microlearning, which all feeds into mobile learning, Pam.
Yep, absolutely.
So why don't you take it into mobile learning?
Yeah, so mobile learning, I love this picture that Jana found because I think it's very representation. Everything is basically online, and now not only do we want it online, but we want it on our phone. And one of the things that Jana was even talking about is her kids, they don't have lockers, they don't have books, they have apps. And those apps are on their phones and their iPads and their other devices, but that would have been nice when I was in school. Hated carrying those books, hated going to the locker, but everything is instantaneous. And, just to let you know how important it is, just imagine, Jana was teasing me with this. I thought it was pretty mean, but she said, imagine trying to go a week without your mobile device. I can't do it. An hour makes me antsy. It just makes me very nervous. I have left in my car to go on a trip. It's not even a long trip. Realize that I have forgotten my phone and I have to go back because it's like my lifeline is not with me. There's actually People that compare that to losing a limb. It's a phenomenon known as ancient limb syndrome. So that is big. The mobile access is right now, and why everybody is clamoring to make sure that they have training and other devices ready to go for mobile learning and M-learning focus. Talking about the past, the now, and the future is just very important that we make sure that as we are looking to the future, that we have the information from our past. We know what works. Now we have to get it into a format that works for everyone. Keep in mind, as you're putting things together, just as Jana was talking about, shorter things don't make it good. And putting things in a mobile setting, that has to be good. So, we have online courses. We're doing everything we can to update those, get those mobile ready, but you'll notice that the look and feel of our courses are changing, because what can we not do on the phone that we do on our courses? We take that mouse to select the correct button. Everything's touch screen now. Everything works a lot differently. So they have to be accurate, they have to be good, and in most cases that takes a lot of design and a lot of features and a lot of forethought. So taking those in mind, making sure that we have all of those slide decks, all of the things that we need to make sure that we have that training ready to go, using the skills from our past, using the knowledge that we have now, and using the technology that we have in the future. We should be able to really get onto this platform. A lot of times you're dealing with, I'll talk the language. They taught me in IT, HTML and Flash and HTML5 and all those things that go into programming. Those are all things that are changing very quickly right now, and we have to be on the forethought of that technology, and that's what we are here for at Gracehill. So utilize that. Make sure you check out our vision. And in all of our products, we'd love for you to take a look around. But definitely something to keep in mind, and we hope that you get a little bit of information about this type of learning, and let us know if you've considered it. Is M-learning in your 2016 forecast? Is it something that you've put together? Is it something you've thought about? Is it something that's completely new to you and you haven't even looked at it yet?
Yeah, Pam, I have to just, yes, there are a couple of great comments out here.
Good.
Vita, I hope I'm saying that name right. Mobile learning would be great. Don't have to sit at a desk. That's absolutely the reason why it would be. James, you're right. It's so key to be able to design those, which Pam was just talking about, for the mobile devices, because absolutely screen size, everything is different when you design for a mobile functionality. So it is something that I believe everybody will keep in mind from this point forward, maybe from a couple years to now forward, that it has to be designed in order to work on all mobile devices, and there's so many of them. I mean, when you really think about it, I almost put a slide in there that, Android, tablet, iPhone, iPad, iPhone, 4, 6, there are just so many different mobile devices to make something that universally, training program that universally works in all of them is really challenging, but it's getting easier now. So good comments, James, without a doubt.
Yes. And Doug, you just that just made my day. Doug says, "Don't drive and M-learn." So keep that in mind as you're putting these courses together. Don't make them so good that people are driving and trying to take them at the same time.
Right.
Oh goodness, that's funny.
That is too funny. Okay, so everybody feel free. You're already doing it. Type into text. Sorry, not text. We are right at the end of our episode, and we have already done our summary poll. So I'm just going to go on to let you know about our next Let's Talk Training episode, which is on effective onboarding and offboarding, and what is so important about offboarding. That may be somewhat of a fairly new term. It's been around for a while, the definition of it and the functionality behind it, but it is becoming more increasingly called offboarding now. But onboarding has really changed with everything we talked to you about today, with the personalization, the socialization, the micro-learning. Onboarding programs are really, really in an evolution period. So we're going to talk to you about how to effectively onboard your associates, and then make sure that you don't forget the importance of offboarding and what that can teach us. And that is basically when somebody leaves our company, we don't just let them walk out the door. It may be an unfortunate instance. It may be something we decided, they decided. Nonetheless, we have to determine why it happened and get some feedback from them. So we're going to talk to you about that as well. The registration link is active there. You can click on that. It is Wednesday, January 13th. So what a great way to start your 2016 year off right. It is from 1 to 2 o'clock, 1 hour, and yes, it is free, as they always are. So I think Pam has an exciting announcement to make right now, $50.
I do. Is Tiffany Roche still with us? And I hope I'm saying that right, Tiffany. So Roche. Yay, she's there.
Yay, Tiffany,
Yay.
Congratulations.
Very good.
Congrats, Tiffany.
Yep. And Jana will get with you, right, Jana, on the wonderful gift certificate there.
That's correct, Tiffany. I will use the email address that you signed up on this webinar for, and it will be an e-gift card, so you can use it as soon as you get the email. I will also email you personally to make sure it didn't go to spam once I send it through Amazon, but congratulations. And you don't have to buy something training related. You don't have to buy a training book. You can buy a new pair of shoes, or maybe it'll help with a little bit of Christmas shopping right now. Yay.
Good job.
Okay, so what do you say, Pam? I think that's a wrap for today, and we are right on time, a minute over. So we want to thank everybody so much for joining us and being a part of this. Again, this is recorded, so you can go back and reference it. We will share the chat as part of the resources and handouts, as well as the slides are available. If you click on the PDF icon there, you can download the slides immediately, and in those slides in the PDF, all of those active links that we have are active in that PDF. So you can access all of those numerous resources which contain such great information. You can access those immediately. And as Pam mentioned earlier, please join our Facebook group, and that is an active link as well. Pam, thank you so very much.
Thank you, Jana, and thank you, Terry, for helping us out and being the producer extraordinaire that she is, who's always there, has been answering questions the whole time, and we couldn't do it without you. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Terry, so much. Thank you, everybody. Pam and I are willing to stick around for a few minutes if anybody has any additional questions. If you need to get back to work, then feel free to go ahead and exit, but we're going to stick around just for a couple more minutes. Type into chat if you have any specific questions for us, but you can always email us as well. Terry, if you wouldn't mind typing in both of our email addresses, please feel free to always email us. We're here to help. Oh, thanks, Pam. You already got it. And Terry typed in mine. Okay. I can't talk and type at the same time, or I'll type what I'm talking or talk what I'm typing. So
I'm quick. Yes, as long as it's not an Excel spreadsheet, I'm pretty quick.
Okay. Any questions?
And thanks, everybody, for being here. We know that your time is valuable and that you're busy and you're doing all kinds of things, but we love having you here. And, wow, the ideas that they shared today, Jana, were just awesome, and I can't
Yes.
wait for everybody to get those and be another resource that they have.
That's right. I can't wait to even read through some of them that I missed. They were scrolling so fast. I'm sure I didn't even get a chance to read some myself. So, okay. Well, I think that because of all of our chats today, all of our questions have been already asked. So we're going to go ahead and end this meeting. Thank you again, everybody, and we hope to see you next month. Thanks, Pam and Terry.
Bye, everybody.